Today, I want to cover two of the biggest reasons why most people fail to ever outsource their work, why they end up doing everything themselves and working themselves into early graves and never getting to enjoy the fruits of all the hard work they put into creating a business.
So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day and this is Systemize Your Success.
Okay, so the biggest reasons that most people never get round to hiring an assistant or systemizing their business are that either they think they can't afford it or they haven't got time to do it. So I'm going to cover both those things to show you, hopefully, that you can, at any stage in business, afford and have the time to do this and free yourself up. And in fact, by hiring an assistant, you'll not only create more time, but actually create more profit as well. So let's get stuck in. So first of all, time. This is one of the biggest reasons when I speak to people while they don't, for example, come and invest in one of our programs, is I haven't got time to do it now. I'm too busy. I've got this new project going on. I've got this deal I need to close. I've got this thing that I'm working on. And they think that when that thing is finished, they're going to have more time. But if you've been in business anything more than a few months or years, you'll know that those busy periods really never end. And in fact, the more business you do, the busier you get. You always think the next hill will be the last one and then it'll all be plain sailing, but something new always comes up. So the right time to actually start this never really comes around if you're waiting for it. So you need to make that time, to make it into reality. And to do that, you've got to be prepared to carve out a little bit of time out of your busy day when you're spinning all your plates to actually get the foundations in. But the great thing is that setting yourself up to be able to outsource your work only takes you a few hours to do. So literally, by the end of today, you could have an assistant working for you should you choose. There's no excuse to just put it off for another day. Once you hire an assistant, if you give them some of your time-consuming, low-value tasks, you'll instantly free yourself up. Let me put this in perspective. If you manage to offload just 10 minutes of your work every single day, that might not seem like a lot, but add that up over the course of a year, and 10 minutes is around 40 hours of work. Now, most people work around 40 hours a week. So therefore, by outsourcing just 10 minutes a day, you're going to free up a week of your life every single year. So if I just gave you a week now to solidly focus on creating more business, on generating more income, would you make your business more successful? Of course you would. So that is the power of outsourcing. Yes, it doesn't all come in one go and you don't suddenly get a week free, but it's those incremental 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there to all add up. And when you get to an hour a day and you're offloading an hour of your admin or email management or whatever it is, suddenly you've freed up 6 weeks a year. That's 6 weeks, 1.5 months freed up from just offloading about an hour a day. So time should not enter into your equation about not being ready to outsource. So let's move on to the second biggest challenge, and that is about money. Now, of course, there is this fear that when you hire somebody into your company, you are then committing to paying them a wage. And therefore, it's a liability to your company. It's a cost. It goes onto your balance sheet. And therefore, you've got to justify it both to yourself or any business partners. And also, obviously, you've got to have the cash there to actually do it. But if you're smart about who you hire, where you hire from, and the type of engagement you have with them, it doesn't need to be a massive burden to you financially. Actually, it can be relatively cheap and with very little risk. Let me give you an example. So say if you hired somebody from the UK and you went for just a general admin assistant to give you a hand doing maybe some basic bookkeeping, maybe some updates to your website, some filing, maybe some email management, you could probably find somebody for around £10 an hour. Now, you're hiring this person on a freelancer basis. That means there's no national insurance. There's no other tax or anything for you to worry about. They take care of all that. It's their responsibility. They're self-employed, or they may be a limited company. So you don't have to worry about any of that. So the only amount you pay is that £10, £12 an hour. You don't have to pay for holidays or benefits or sick or maternity leave. You don't have to worry about office space. You don't have to provide them with any equipment. It's literally £12 an hour or whatever the rate is that you decide. So the cost is known and it's fixed and it's easy to budget for. The other thing is that when you're hiring somebody on a freelance basis, you don't have any commitment to them to pay them every single week if you don't have any work for them. Just make sure that's clear from the start that that's the arrangement. It's going to be an ad hoc working arrangement. And therefore, some weeks you may have a few hours, the next week you may have a few more. As long as they're happy with that, that's totally fine. That's exactly the relationship that I had with my personal assistant for many years. And it totally works fine because she had other clients and she was doing other work for the people. So when I gave her work, it was a bonus. And when I didn't, it was fine. So you can make whatever arrangements you want with that person. And you're also only paying this person after they've done the work for you. So it's not like you're paying this money out every single month and then therefore, you're committed to it and it's like a subscription. It's like, if they do some work for you, you pay them. If they don't, you don't. That's it. So your liability, it's actually pretty much zero. I mean, like if you just 1 month you can't afford it, then just stop. It's as simple as that. In the example, I talked about hiring a PA from the UK for about 10 or 12 pounds an hour. If you're in the US, it's probably a similar sort of amount, maybe like $15 an hour. If you go to somewhere like Latin America or Eastern Europe, then you can drop that down by like 25, 30%. However, you go to somewhere like India or to the Philippines, and the Philippines is where we hire nearly all of our virtual assistants from, both for ourselves and our clients, then you can expect to pay sort of $3, $4 an hour, so about £3 an hour. So for the price of a large Starbucks coffee, you can get someone to do an hour's work for you. So if you're worried about cost, just think about what could you cut back from your personal life or from your business life? Is there a subscription for a bit of software you're not using? I know, for example, right now, I could probably go through and cancel at least £100 a month of subscriptions just from bits of software that I've not really using and not really utilizing. And I could then use that to get 30 odd hours of work done. I mean, that's nearly a week's worth of work done just by canceling a few subscriptions. So have a look at what you're doing in your personal and your business life and think, could I use that money better to get somebody to come in, help me do some admin and free me up to focus on the stuff that only I can do and make my business more profitable? So talking about this, how much are you worth? What is your hourly rate? Because if you know this, then you'll see that actually it's not really a cost to get somebody in. You're actually saving yourself money if you can get somebody in at a cheaper rate than you're worth. So to work out what your hourly rate is, just simply add up all of the income you get, whether that's earned income, dividends from businesses, whether it's interest payments, whatever income you get in, any other passive income, any other unearned income, add it all up and then divide it by around 2,000. That's roughly the number of hours somebody actually works in a given year. So, for example, if you earned £30,000 a year, you divide that by 2,000, that's like £15 an hour. So if you're earning £15 an hour and you can get someone to do something for you for £3 or £4 an hour, would it not make more sense to pay them to do some low value tasks so you can focus more on your high value tasks? And I know the argument that I used to have against this was, but I'm still paying them out money. Like I'm just getting this £15 an hour anyway, but now I'm giving 3 of that or 4 of that or 5 of that or 10 of that or whatever it is to somebody else to do the work. So it's coming out of my pocket. So it's still a cost to me. So I wasn't really convinced by this argument at first. But then I thought about it and I thought, well, at the moment, I'm earning £15 an hour. And to earn that, I do all of the really high value stuff, like it could be making sales, doing lead gen, getting on the phone and speaking to clients. It could be doing webinars and earning money from the stage. It could be closing deals, doing coaching calls. One of those high value items that I actually do in my day, there are actually very few of them in most people's days, but those high value items are basically what generate the vast majority of that chunk of income. The rest of the time is filled with low value or no value tasks. And that means you're basically doing admin, email management, maybe doing updates to your website, maybe you're dabbling in graphic design because you think it'd be cheaper to do it yourself rather than get a professional, just doing some general admin stuff, social media management, all this sort of stuff, scheduling things or arranging appointments or chasing people up for invoices. All of this stuff can be done by other people if you just get somebody else in to help you, set up a few systems and get it out there. And so if you got rid of all that stuff that you were doing that was basically not generating income in your money, you'd suddenly free up probably around half, if not more, of your day. You could then focus that entire time on doing your high value tasks. So suddenly that hourly rate you talked about has just gone up significantly because you've now got far more time to focus on generating income and doing the stuff in your business that only you can do. So that money you're paying for your assistant, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, whatever it is, pounds an hour, suddenly becomes very cheap because your business becomes more profitable very quickly as soon as you can get someone in to do all that low value admin stuff. So let me give you a story about this. And that was when I used to believe it was cheaper and easier to do my own bookkeeping. Now, bookkeeping is a really easy thing to outsource. You may pay a bit more than £10 an hour for it, maybe £20, £25 an hour in the UK, probably something similar in the US. But bookkeeping is one of those things where there's a whole profession around it. There's, qualified bookkeepers. You can get recommendations from friends and family or other business colleagues. You can find someone good really easily, and you can offload something with very little effort. Combine that with a good accountant, and basically that's your entire financial part of your business taken care of. I used to do all my own accounts, my own tax filing, and my own bookkeeping. I used to do my own PAYE and my national insurance. I used to take care of everything, and it used to literally take me hours every single week. Then once a year, I'd pull out this box from my cupboard, and it was full of receipts, all of the cash purchases, all the card purchases, everything I'd done over that past year. I'd sit down and literally for 2 days every year, I would do my accounts. I used to go through every receipt and write the numbers on. I used to tally them up on a spreadsheet, compare that to my bank statements. I'd then decide, are these expenses that I can actually offset against tax, or are they just expenses that I'm going to have to just pay for myself? Was it some toy that I bought for my kid or whatever, and I put it into the wrong card? Going through everything one by one. This used to take me, as I said, 2 days to do. And then I used to hand that spreadsheet to my accountant and then file my tax return. I think it used to cost me a few £100s to then do the whole filing business. And I wanted that sort of level of certainty that at least that bit was getting done right. And then one year, I was super busy. It was a year I was doing a massive property renovation, and I just basically was burnt out. I didn't have time to even think about my tax return. And so that date was getting closer and closer. And in the end, I just said to my accountant, look, I'm really sorry, but I'm just going to have to dump this on you. I've not done any work on my spreadsheet. I'm just going to give you a box of receipts. Can you just deal with it? I don't mind if it costs me more. I gave him that box of receipts. And in the same amount of time that he used to take to do my tax return, when I used to give him a nice spreadsheet, which I thought was really helpful, he did the entire tax return, he filed it all correctly, and he charged me exactly the same amount of money. The reason is because this is what they do every single day. They know how to do this quickly, effectively. They know what they need to note down. They know what they can ignore, and they just got it done. That one action of outsourcing my bookkeeping to my accountant to file my tax return saved me 2 days of my life every single year. I since went on to actually outsource my bookkeeping on a monthly basis. So now I have up-to-date accounts every single month, so I can actually tax plan and be efficient and know where I'm at as a business and have a profit loss every single month. But back then, that was 2 days of my life saved by that one action. And it cost me virtually nothing because I was already paying my accountant to file my tax return. Just one example of stuff that I've done which have absolutely changed the way I see and think about my role in my business. Just because I can do something, just because you can do something, doesn't mean you should. The last thing I want to talk about very quickly is opportunity cost. And this is something you should consider whenever you're trying to weigh up the cost versus the benefit of doing a new venture in your business or taking on a new project or doing a course or whatever it is. For this, I want to give you an example. So first of all, opportunity cost is like if you are stuck doing something in your business and there's an opportunity out there, so maybe it's a new deal, a new partnership, a new investment opportunity, whatever it is. But if you're so stuck in your business that you can't stick your head up and have a look around and see that opportunity, or you miss it, or you haven't got time, is that, oh, I can't take that on at the moment because I'm too busy, then that's an opportunity cost. Because if you weren't busy, you could have actually done that. And so here's an example of where I had a massive opportunity cost that I really messed up on. So in about 2005-ish, I was buying a property, or I bought a property. It was a shop in Manchester. It had a few bedrooms above it, had a big store at the back, and I was converting this into a 7-bed student property. This project, if I'd got a builder in straight away to do it, it probably would have cost around £60,000, and it would have taken about 4 months just to get it finished and nailed. I would have then let it out and I would have had about £3,000 a month in rent. And that's what I now let it for. So these are real figures. But instead, I thought it'd be a great idea to do all the work myself. Now, I'd done a bit of renovation before, but this was like proper building work. This was like ripping floors out, ripping ceilings out, putting new staircases in, putting bathrooms in, replumbing, rewiring, the whole lot. I thought it'd be a great idea to do all this and learn on the job. So this job, which should have taken 4 months, should have been let out. I should have been earning money within 4 or 5 months of me purchasing this. Almost 18 months later, I was still grafting away, living on a pittance because all my money had gone into this. I was in massive debt. I would put all my money on credit cards. I'd already spent almost as much as I would have done just to get the builder in straight away, but I was earning nothing back because I was still working on it and I hadn't managed to get it let. I then paid out an extra £35,000 to get a builder to come in and finish the job off so I didn't miss the next academic year. Because if I didn't get students in then, I'd have to wait a whole another year. And that would cost me another £35,000 a year in rent would have been lost if I didn't get those people in. So I decided to take that hit. I got the builders in. They finished it off. Job was finished. Got the students in. Everything's happy. Managed to sort of save my business, save my life, and actually get back on track. But the opportunity cost of that was huge because my total outlay just in monetary terms was massive compared to if I just paid a builder, because I paid out in total around £90,000 roughly in costs when I take into account all my costs, the cost of the contractors, plus that builder at the end. I also had about £35,000 in lost rent. So my total outgoing for that was 125 grand. If I'd got the builders in, it would have cost me 60 from the beginning, roughly. So roughly double the cost for me trying to save some money. And this is a pretty extreme example, but it taught me a seriously important lesson. But the other important thing, the opportunity cost here, is for 18 months of my life, I did nothing but go to site, live on site sometimes, graft away, like do myself serious injury sometimes, like just to try to save a bit of money. All that time, I wasn't there looking for new opportunities. I wasn't looking for how I could grow my business and make myself more successful because I was stuck doing the work in my business. So if you take one thing away from this episode above anything else, it's make sure that you're not doing stuff in your business that is pulling you away from making your business a success just for the sake of trying to save a few quid. Because when you work it out and you do the math, and you think about the opportunity cost and think about the cost of getting somebody else to do it and what you could do with your time if you read it up, you'll probably figure out that it is not actually saving you money doing it yourself. You're actually costing yourself a fortune. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for joining me and listening to this episode. I'm well aware there are hundreds of great business podcasts out there and you chose to listen to this one, and for that I am truly grateful. Hopefully what you heard today took you one step closer to building a successful business so you can share your passion with the world and serve an ever-growing number of people. If you got value out of today's episode, then so will someone else that you know. By sharing with others what has helped you along your way, you will grow your influence and be the guy or girl that everybody wants to know. So please hit the share button right now, and also remember to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss future episodes. It's impossible for me to cover absolutely everything in these podcasts, so please do head over to systemizeyoursuccess.com right now and download the show notes, transcriptions, and some of my best frameworks and systems for free. Thanks again for tuning in and being a part of this amazing community. Until next time, this is Dr. Steve Day, and you've been listening to Systemize Your Success.